you guys feel? Should we turn on the air? And
If you want
I'm-
the air on, you turn
you
the
turn
air
your
on.
own.
It's easier to get cold than it is to
Yeah.
be hot.
It's static. There, no, we're not.
low rider.
Oh,
There's a lower.
Please turn on the microphones.
Yep.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, works.
Think we were gonna get to see swag. We getting to see swag?
Yeah, that was part of the plan. She must be, I'm gonna go help her.
That may have been where she ran off to. Because
We've got all, I don't know if you came in the store, you see all those boxes now.
No, I didn't.
That's cool. We don't have to do it. We can do it later.
I definitely know they were ordered because I saw those.
You saw the invoice.
Yeah.
There's one more joint meeting, right?
Yes,
Middle of
yes.
May.
Mhm.
I have booked to be in Cancun at that time.
I think we would all agree on your priorities. I don't know. You can give those tickets over to me.
Yeah, if I could tear myself
maybe
away.
we should just adjourn the meeting or
Oh, yeah.
transfer the meeting to wherever Bill's at.
I'll be okay. Be okay with that. A lot of room on that beach. So I'm gonna try to, get hooked up the internet so I can come in by Zoom, but I can't make it physically.
About that fire that was just happening?
Oh, there's a fire on 76.
Yeah, Pinky Road and 76. They just contained it 47 minutes ago.
Oh,
What?
oh,
Kinky Road?
Oh, over on the east side.
Oh, past Pala?
It's
Horse Creek.
right into Horse Creek
Creek,
area.
yeah.
And where the light is.
Okay.
Isn't the light
Oh.
Pinky Road?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I didn't notice.
That's close.
I wonder when it started. There was sections that looked like smoke this morning when I was driving in.
Yeah.
It wasn't too obvious.
Said about an hour ago is when they first notified North County Fire Protection.
Mhm.
Yeah, these guys are really good about keeping everyone informed.
They might need water.
Yeah, definitely. Got that heli hydrant.
Or any place else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we padlocked all our fire hydrants. You need a new key.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, there you go. El Jefe's here.
That's
Would you rather us start at 3:30? New request. Good. I'm happy that we all made it with the new schedule.
Right on time.
It's good.
Much appreciated.
Oh, no, absolutely. Thank you to everyone.
Horses obviously didn't, the horse didn't.
Well, the 10 o'clock meeting was a little bit of a rush, but I managed to get everything done.
That's what you said last. I have to ask the horses. They didn't object.
All right, we good? All right, well, it's 1 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. And pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right, roll call. Bill Shute, present. Bill Stewart,
Here.
Hayden Hamilton,
Here,
and we don't need to do alternates. Thank you all. Item 5, additions, deletions, amendments to the agenda. Staff has none. Any from the committee?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Item number 6, approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The agenda is approved. Item number 7, public comment. Do we have any public on the line?
We have no members of the public.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Skip the public comment. Item 8, the approval of the March 7th minutes. You all should have the minutes in front of you. If you could take a moment and review, and if I could get a motion to approve the March 7th minutes.
So
as written.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 9, appointment of vice chairperson. So I guess it's time to appoint a vice chairperson again, a renewal.
Yeah, so
Nominate Bill Stewart.
I second the motion.
Can, we had a discussion about this a minute ago, have a potential suggestion for a little bit of a wrinkle, not, we support the motions entirely. But you know, typically we were doing these on a year basis based on when whoever was appointed. And the thought was, you know, the board does all their appointments in January and you guys are only off by about a month. So if you wanted to, we could appoint to January, and then when we do bills next month, appoint to January, and then just do it every January.
Does it have to be a year?
I think
Part
it's,
of the bylaws for the committee.
It's just after the election.
it's just after the election.
Election.
Gosh, it's a good question.
So let's take a note to just check the bylaws or whatever we have to
Yeah.
check to say whether or not the committees, whether we can appoint for longer than 12 months. Or if the committee wants to keep it at 12 months. I don't know if that is committee preference
Yeah.
or something.
We just thought-
rules.
Because it's always kind of a surprise to us, was like, oh, we got to put that on, you know, instead of a regular kind of.
Either way is fine.
Okay, well, whatever okay, so then let's I guess.
Then
the-
I move that we appoint Bill Stewart as vice chair to serve until next January, unless we find out information contrary to the terms of the
Bylaws.
service.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Abstain.
opposed?
All right, the appointment of vice chairperson Stewart. That's unanimously passed with one abstention. Okay. Item 10, comment section, general manager's comment. Mr. General Manager.
General Manager, I know there was a request, detachment update, which I haven't given in a while. We did write up, pretty, well, kept it fairly general, but somewhat specific, in the newsletter. So if you read the newsletter, that we tried to give everybody, kind of an update there on where we're at, but I'll give you a little more specifics, today. And there's really kind of 3 still main activities that are happening. As far as that goes, probably the simplest one, we've got LAFCO, you know, a couple of things with LAFCO. We, you know, the original LAFCO resolution had a requirement that we finish everything by July. I think it was July, so 1 year kind of a thing. So July 10th or 13th, whatever the 1 year anniversary was of that resolution, of this year. And unless extensions granted by the executive officer, because of the timing of the pump stations, that's going to fall beyond that July deadline, we submitted for an extension to LAFCO, and they approved us a 1-year extension, so all the way out to the following July, which should be more than enough to where we won't need another. So that's already done. The other thing was, this is back in December when Fallbrook filed or right at January 1, when Fallbrook filed their notice of completion. It requires a boundary description and map of the territory. And so we both already had that done, but the county went through and actually reviewed both of them. So Fallbrook had a little bit of a bumpy ride for a couple of days too, just with their map and really just county stuff. Stuff, I can't read
This line is 4 inches off.
stuff like that. I can't read what this says here if I'm standing 5 feet away, just some county stuff that they had to deal with, but they got theirs through. But the county reviewed ours and found just some discrepancies in the total acreage. So the thought was, the original one was done back in 2020, and potentially between 2020 and now this review, annexations or, things of that nature. It wasn't a huge discrepancy. It was, you're talking 50,800 acres versus 51,100 acres, a couple hundred acres difference, and then something else too, a way they kind of organize these maps. There was another discrepancy in there. So we're working through that too. The county's kind of the primary effort on most of that to kind of clean it up.
This is county or the water authority?
This is county,
Okay.
the San Diego County. Yeah,
Okay.
they're
They're sticklers.
right. It is. Everything's got to be just so. But that's important. We just want to make sure that when we get there, we don't have those same kind of hiccups, right? Where we're spending weeks trying to revise these maps. We're going to do it now and make sure it's ready to go before we file the NOC, the notice of completion.
So their review was just kind of an unofficial review,
Correct.
and they gave feedback on it.
Right.
Got it.
Technical.
So we're working through that.
And it's probably important from the property tax purpose.
That's true. Right. And that was one of the things too. They found one parcel that was in Vista tax assessor, but it was shown in things like that. But we're down to some pretty minute kind of things. So working through that. The other big item, the operations plan development with San Diego County Water Authority. We split that into 2 parts. Those things will merge, but we divided it by aqueduct, just because they do operate very differently. So the second aqueduct, which is basically on this side of the district, the west side of the district, that feeds connections. Yeah, connections 8 and 9. Yeah, pipeline 4, right? Pipeline 4 is a treated water pipeline as part of that system. That one is pretty straightforward. The draft plan is really complete. We put a couple of comments back to them, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Nothing major. And so we're expecting, we have another call. I think our next call is not till the middle of May. But we expect that plan to be finalized here pretty quick. So that's the second aqueduct. Major things with that. Obviously it covers the purchase of their equipment. So the valve vaults that they own on this side, Met already owns the meters. So that nothing has to change there. It's really just the control valve and the vault that is owned and operated by the San Diego County Water Authority. That'll all transfer to Rainbow. We take over O&M. So this is what the operation plan covers. You're going to purchase these, you're going to take over O&M. And the one thing that they requested within that is they would like to still get the signals. So for how much flow is being taken off of those turnouts. And really it's just for them to plan their own downstream things. They're actually trying to get the same thing from Rancho, which they don't have currently, because Rancho takes flow off those aqueducts too. And so Eastern was going to help to try to facilitate them getting those flow numbers too. And really just boils down to like, if somebody has some kind of disruption, I'm learning all this stuff too. And this has happened before, mostly with Rancho, because Rancho will take significant flows sometimes, so, 20, 40 CFS. And I guess they've had at least one instance where one of their pump stations abruptly shut down. They stop taking flow, which means all the flow then goes to San Diego County. They spill it one of their vents, at one of the vents. Doesn't cause a lot of damage on this side, but it's an issue, right? It's just water spilling. So
Efficiency issue.
yeah. And so they're trying to do that. On the other side, the first aqueduct, that one's a little more interesting. It's a little more challenging to operate. These pipelines are all falling grade systems. So once you send the water, it's gone.
It's going.
Somebody needs to take it, right? Somebody needs to take the water. And they've got a couple areas in this county water authority. They've got a couple areas in there where if they spill too much water, it actually, again, these vents are designed to spill when there's, too much water there, but it actually floods out houses and things like that. They can take a certain amount, but it's a pretty small window. And then of course, if there's not enough taken, you actually depressurize, areas of the pipeline, which is problematic too. People aren't getting, then you can't take deliveries and things like that. So a little more fickle on the first aqueduct side. What they've requested is they'd like to even post detachment, at least for some time, to continue to operate the control valves. And again, it's them kind of timing that system, that falling grade system, to make sure that those disruptions don't occur. And so we're working through that. The benefit to the district is, obviously releases liability of that from us. But we're working through kind of what that would look like, those requirements, because I think we had assumed obviously everything would just transfer. The meter, so on that side, the meter is owned by the county water authority. And so that there's no property associated with it. They're all within what they call joint use agreements. So it's within Met's easement, and it's a joint use agreement between Met and County Water Authority and Rainbow. So there's no property acquisition involved, but there is the meter vault, and that kind of thing. What we want to do is, we think what's going to have to happen is we acquire that meter and then we give it to Met. We're gonna give it to Met because they're the ones that typically own the metering facilities. So that's actually probably the most complicated part that's left of this thing is Met's going to require operating agreement is what they call it. They're being very flexible because Fallbrook's kind of in a hurry. They don't have their connection on the first aqueduct available to them right now, and they're going to want that come next month, June. They're going to want that available to them. And so what Met's agreed to is, hey, we can do these interim operating agreements, no big deal, where, basically we're just reading the meter. It's, and we're in the process of kind of finalizing the formal operating agreement. So they asked us for some information. We had to kind of fill out their general application and all that and put it in for those two connections on that side. They're going to do ours and Fallbrook's at the same time. And we're working through that, but they seem to think that was going to take, and Met seemed to think that was going to take some time just to work through the logistics on all of that. So that's where the kind of the interim / permanent operating agreement came into play to make sure everybody's kind of ready to take water when we're ready to take water, detached from the county water authority.
So the water authority wants to continue to manage that connection on the first aqueduct?
They want to operate the control valve, basically for timing. We're kind of the first connections downstream. There's no other connections upstream of us until you get to Skinner. Skinner directly to that pipeline, and then you run into Fallbrook 3 and Rainbow 1, which are co-located in the same vault. And again, as you continue down, so when there's flow changes, as you continue downstream, if those things aren't coordinated correctly, then they get too much flow at their too little flow depending on timing. And so,
So in that, is that agreement is just that we say, we carve out and say that you're going to control that valve?
right.
They don't get to charge us for that?
Well, we're working through that. We're working through that. If it is, I mean, there is going to be operator time and things like that. But we're talking through all the details of that, how that
Seems
would
like
work.
they're going to get a benefit of de-risking themselves and the pipeline down. And that de-risk is our good, our good faith to allow them to control that valve, that they benefit from it. And
Right.
there shouldn't be any,
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion on that aqueduct. I guess some of it we talked about in closed session because originally they were proposing, they wanted to actually move the Met meter south, like basically move all the control because we sit below the Met.
South of-
We're getting into the weeds here, but we sit below the
Mhm.
Met meter. And
Mhm.
so we need them to again agree to an operating agreement where they're subtracting those flows from the county water authority. So there's
I get it.
There's still some give and
I get
take.
how deep that is. So I'm gonna lay off any questions on that.
I
Well,
hear
great.
you though. I hear you. So we're working through it. I think there could be benefits on both sides, to be quite honest, even, yeah, but we're working through that one. So that one's a little more complicated and it's not done, but we're getting close. We're really kind of honing in on those last few details
Gotcha.
that deal with Met and then this operating of the valve. The only thing, the pump stations, where we are under construction, we've taken 2 deliveries from EFI. One for the pump station out by the Lilac pump station out by the high school and Sullivan Middle School. So there's parts of the building and pumps and that. And then this week we're receiving for the Dentro pump station. And so I think there's a couple more shipments that'll be arriving through April and May. We're well ahead of the contractor though, which is the good part. And so we'll be storing those for a bit until they're ready to actually put those into place.
This is the building. base,
Building
right,
and pumps
and all of
and,
that stuff. But the building, the slabs are ready.
well, I think what's been delivered so far, I saw a big roof.
Bless
We got one of the roofs of the
Oh.
buildings, a bunch of pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, those kind of things. So that's all in process. The contractor has begun some earthwork and mobilized on site. Obviously they're procuring all of their materials and things, kind of as we speak. We're through most of the submittals. The end of their contract is October, I think it's the 13th is the end of their contract. As you know, we incentivize that contract for early finish. I think it's going to be difficult for them just given the lead times on equipment. That seems to be the where finishing early might be tough, but we're doing everything we can to substitute, things that are long lead items, letting them substitute other, similar equipment, things like that. Chad and his team are working through the contract with that stuff. So, but the County Water Authority they asked me a couple weeks ago, well, not even that long, a week ago, they're working through their budget, obviously with a very fine pencil, and asked what do we think our actual date is, because they're trying to budget that revenue loss. And I told them my best guess between November 1st and January 1st. That's if you were gonna, budget very conservatively, probably November 1st. If we beat that's great, but that's probably realistic. And then on the long end, January 1st. Just not knowing, construction, if there's any issues with construction. But so far we've been able to avoid any lead times and things that drive us beyond that date. So that's basically it. That's what's going on with the detachment. Yeah.
All righty, questions?
Lift station 1.
Lift station 1. We're getting close on that as well. And I think, are you going to talk about that we're planning?
I don't know if she has that in the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay. I think the original plan was it was going to be done this month. It's probably going to spill into May. They are, a lot of the stuff has been pretty well cleaned up over at the site.
So,
It's really kind of these,
Right.
they still have the lining to do, the pipeline under the creek. But I know they've been working through bypass and things like that to accomplish that. Our team was working with them on, there was like a slide gate that had a long lead time. And so we've kind of worked out a plan with that where they don't need it to basically finish. They got to make a tie-in, I think, down by the movie theater. So there's just a couple of items of work left where probably going to spill into May. We are going to plan some kind of a ribbon cutting. First flush. Yeah, there you go. First flush.
Can we invite?
Valve
Easter food?
turning, whatever you want to call it.
Can we invite Easterns?
We could give out these.
Yeah.
Keep a straight face and say that. How you did it.
But it is getting very close. One thing to note on that too, we've been dealing with, we got a grant on that project and it's being funneled through the EPA, right? It came through an earmark, but the EPA is the one that's actually bringing the grant through. We actually had a call 45 minutes ago with we got our legislator to set up a meeting with the EPA, just because we're running into some issues because the project's already under construction, right? And so they, and when they started talking about, okay, it's time to send in your application for the money that's been earmarked for you, and we're gonna have to do an environmental review and do these things. And I'm like, how do you do that for a project that's
Already.
yeah, we're getting done here.
Send
you know?
our, our
So good news is, it was a bit of a panic moment, to be quite honest. The good news is there's a lot of options there to a couple of things. Either, we can there's a possibility that they may take our CEQA and go, okay, that's fine. Yeah, accept that as, as far as the environmental review. But there's other things too that, the federal government requires. You got Build America, Buy America provisions and Davis-Bacon and things like that, like I said, the project was already under construction. So our procurement documents didn't quite fit the bill as that's concerned. So there were some waivers that they provided for the last couple of years, those the couple of last years of earmarks, that not clear whether they're going to provide those again for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Good news. Here's the good news. That's all the scary news. That, money's at risk. It's really not. But what may have to occur is, the grant was just provided under lift station and sewer improvements. That's basically the description of the project. We may need to shift some of those funds to some of our planned sewer and lift station improvements. If we can't kind of get through these, I don't know what you call them, exceptions. And the EPA is not great at exceptions, to be quite honest. So we think that's kind of where it's headed. And there's even a couple options of that on how we kind of maneuver through that process. One's a little quicker than the other, but you kind of have to fall under the guise of what you had originally submitted versus kind of changing your whole project. You can do a technical correction, actually change the whole project. But so anyways,
So the grant money's there. We just may have to use it for other projects.
yes, exactly. And so obviously for us, it's money we were already going to spend on upcoming projects that we want to tie those funds to, because it kind of offsets, the need for any other funding. So,
Okay.
but it looks like we're almost done, and we're going to work through the reimbursement part as well.
Money.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? All
Not
right.
really.
Thank you,
Great
Mr.
update.
General Manager.
Okay.
10B, committee member comments.
I have none.
Not today.
No, my only comment is really a question. I saw an article from Metropolitan about rate increases. And I don't, again, being the least water savvy guy in the room. Not quite sure I understand MWD versus Eastern and what it covers in San Diego County when they were talking about future rate increases and things like that. So can anybody educate me on that?
I think the two of us can,
Yeah,
because
Okay.
we've been following it really close.
by the way, it was also on Fox News about 4 nights ago,
Yeah,
stating 17%.
that was the original proposal.
Yeah,
It
well,
was-
that
I
was
saw
what was on
8
Fox
or
News.
something.
Okay, so it's not that bad.
From that.
I'll say it's not that bad and it's not that good.
Yeah,
It was actually it was an interesting process to follow. Yeah, like a couple of months ago, Met came out, they do a 2-year budget
Mhm.
increase.
Mhm.
Or they set their rates for 2 years and they came out with original proposal. It actually said 13 and 8, but they do like a blend of all their various rate components, right?
Mhm.
13% for this, 8% for that, 17% for this, and then that all gets blended into that number that you hear. And so what that first year 13% rate increase actually amounted to a 17% on the treated water cost, which is the one that's most important to us and most of people who buy water from them. Now that was the original proposal. Lots of obviously feedback from their board of directors, and everybody was weighing in on this thing. And so they came back with what ended up being what was 3 options at the end. And what they did was a blend of they have the ability to they have an ad valorem tax that can cover state water project costs.
Mhm.
And the tax is very low. It's 0.0035% or something like that. It amounts to
It's on the property tax.
on the property tax, $15 on your property tax bill, or depending on the value of your
Mhm.
property. What they ended up doing was they're going to raise that ad valorem tax. They're actually going to double it. This was the option that they picked at the end. They're going to double that ad valorem tax. That brought down the overall rate increases to the 8.5 and 8.5. They also lowered their sales projection. Originally, they had a higher sales projection, and the board just kicked back and said, "This is too optimistic, and you're gonna basically they're gonna sink." Right? They're in really trouble with their reserves if they didn't do something drastic. And so that's they came back, the one that was approved 8.5 and 8.5 on the rates. What that equates to on the treated water side is 11% in year 1 and 10% in year 2, which is heavy for us. And that'll go into effect January 1, 2025. Now, how that relates to Eastern, it basically is a direct pass through. The agreement with Eastern includes it up to an $11 an acre foot, basically administrative charge. So, Met's cost is going to be $1,350 per acre foot, and there's going to be $11 tacked on top of that for Eastern. So it's minuscule really compared to the cost. So it's just a direct, but it's a direct cost to us. That is all the water we purchase is off of the treated water side. So that'll come January 1, which makes things complicated. And that's, as we've gone through these budget workshops, that's really a lot of the things that we've been talking through is, how do we manage that?
the key thing for the ratepayer on that is if we'd still been with the water authority, it would have been 10% plus their 10%.
Right.
Mhm.
The water authority has a little bit different. I mean, they have a different supply mix, but they get hit hard with the rate increases too. That it's different components of the rate, but they get hit hard with these rate increases too. So, I'd been participating in some of those discussions as the water authorities. I think they're taking theirs up again this month. I don't think they're planning on adopting their 2-year rates this month, but probably next month. And they were looking at they were at 13%, and they hadn't really addressed any of kind of their fiscal issues, right? They're below minimums on reserves. They have some other issues. So again, I think this is why we were getting the question, the exact month we want to know the exact month you're going to detach because they're down into the weeds on trying to get, get their budget put together. But there's going to be, yeah, just like President Hamilton indicated, significant increases on that side that are, yeah, well into the double digits, it looks like. Like, again, I haven't seen their final numbers. They'll probably show something this month, but they were at kind of a minimum of 13. So you're right. The Delta was going to spread. The other thing they're doing, they're changing their fixed structure, County Water Authority, where they're kind of looking back a little longer. So instead of like a 3 or a 5-year window where they're averaging your flows and then basing your fixed rates on that, they're actually looking at like a 7-year window. That would have hurt us as well
Yeah.
by about 2%,
Mhm.
another 2%. And that's coming to January 1. So that's just kind of a structural change. That, yeah, it would have negatively impacted us because the further back you go for us, the demands are higher, right? So our
Yep.
fixed charges go up and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. They're trying to protect. I mean, they weren't trying to do it to, we're going to stick it to Rainbow. But really they're trying to protect against, they're trying to go more fixed costs and they're trying to protect against what San Diego is going to do and East County is going to do, right? They're going to roll off. They need more time to adjust to that. And so this helps with that a little bit. So
And they also slipped below take and pay.
yes, yeah, they are. Yeah, they're projecting to be. Yeah, they missed their demand or their sales target by over 100,000 acre feet. So yeah, and that's
Well, I think that's what part of the thing that is most confusing to ratepayers is when you read an article like this, is they're talking about how that lower volume
yes,
is impacting. So they, you get news like all of the reservoirs that are 115% of an annual average, or they're at capacity. So we've got all this water, right?
But we're gonna
And-
raise your rate.
Right. And by the way, you guys are saving so much water and you've done such a good job, right? You've switched over to all these, low, drought tolerant plants and
It's
you're
your
not
fault.
wasting water. And because of all of that,
we have to charge you more.
we have to
Charge
charge
you
you
more.
more.
Yeah.
It's just
That was,
not
that
a
was
very.
the gist of the Fox Met rate. It was you ask us to save, we not only saved what you asked, but went way beyond that. And now you're raising our rates.
Yeah. Yeah, so there still is a big disparity. But that is the story. I mean, both the two major wholesalers are kind of facing similar battle in that, yeah, they've bled reserves because of lower sales that they just weren't anticipating. It just drove lower and lower faster. And the 2 wet years obviously plays a lot into that too. But
So you're setting rates for the year for us, for our ratepayers effective July 1st.
Mhm.
But those increases from Med don't go into effect until the 1st of January. So you get a little bit of help that way. You're not, I mean, now it's no help, but you can estimate what that's going to do overall.
yeah, we know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so but there will be some sort of a pass through come January 1.
Which
And
might
again-
line up exactly with detachment.
Yeah.
That's the not fortunate part of that.
Yeah.
So I guess to that point though, with us, with the extension and with what the water authority does, how does that exactly, what rates get charged? Are we still having to pass through water authority rates up
No.
until? Go ahead.
Okay, so
Rick's-
so as soon as we detach, we don't pay the water authority anything anymore. And then we switch to paying Eastern. And so one clear distinction between paying between the two is, so with the water authority, we paid their rate, which was all of their costs together, divided among their agencies. With Eastern, we don't pay for Eastern expenses. They just take the Met rate and they pass it on to us and they tack on a little bit on top. So we have no involvement in their operations, their finances, their reserves or anything of that sort. It's just whatever the Met rate is.
So we're essentially buying water from Met, but
We
it's
are.
being administered that
which is,
purchase is being administered by Eastern.
yes, which is the common way that most Met water is purchased throughout everywhere else but the water authority. In Southern California. And so, yeah, as soon as we detach, then all of those rates just transition over and go to the Met rate instead of what we're paying. to
But when
authority.
when is the water authority announcing their new rate and how, in what period?
Oh,
does that
it'd be
affect?
January
Couple
1st.
months, and
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
be effective the
Okay.
same period,
Same
January 1.
January 1st period. So instead of paying their increased rates, we'll pay what the new Met rates are, which will be lower, but it's,
And higher.
yeah. So you figure, let's say 11% for the Met increase.
Yes.
And I don't know, water authority might be somewhere between 12 and 15%. So it's not going to be one on top of the other, like 20-something% difference. It'll probably just be a few percent difference in the next year. Because the water authority rate takes into account what they're paying more to Met with Met's new rates.
Well, I guess my only comment then to wrap up my comment is, at some point, it would be nice to boil this down as simply as possible and communicate it wherever the appropriate spot is, whether it's a article in the paper or a newsletter thing, just to say that, yes, it's unfortunate that, you know, everybody is paying higher rates overall for water, but man, this is going to benefit us because the ratepayers in the district is going to be they're going to be saving millions of dollars a year because it would have been so much worse. And that's just the beginning of worse, really, right? For the people in San Diego and Pure and all the improvements for other parts of their system. And who's going to pay for that? So, all
I
right,
think-
just
Yeah, and at the budget workshop too, and we went through some of this, but I think, and I kind of tested this out with a few community members, kind of the simple message on what it looks like, and seemed to go over pretty well. But it's really the long-term look that looks a lot better as you go through this. You know, the board had approved 9% rate increases, so that was 9% plus the county water authority pass through for the next 5 years, and that was really just to keep us kind of on the level, right? What it looks like now is we're looking at more like 4, just to keep pace with, you know, our
there you go.
that is, and that's just the truth. I mean, that's just the long term. It's you know, less than half of what was really expected to the expected need for the district going forward. The first year or so, it's going to be a little tough because we got these Met increases. We've got some heavy costs coming in.
Right.
But it's the long term look is bright, I would say.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. That was my comment. All right, moving on. Item 11, strategic communications plan development update.
Okay.
Did we skip customer service survey?
Is it in a different order on the agenda?
I'm on item 11 after comments. It's strategic communications plan development update. 12 is customer.
Sorry, okay.
We good?
So
Alright.
I just wanted to do a quick recap. It's been a couple of months
Mhm.
since we had the workshop.
I flipped the pages.
So the workshop was about, you know, doing the discovery, the stakeholder feedback, and getting all the information that goes into the actual plan development. So the development stage is where we are now. I don't have the clicker, so I can't. Thank you.
Look away.
All right. So just a quick recap. I think a couple of you were at, or I don't remember if Bill was there. Maybe all 3 of you were there at the workshop. We did a SWOT analysis. So we talked about our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Some of the communication strengths was the monthly newsletter, our education campaigns, having the grant for field trips, outreach events, in-house designer, great ratepayer response to detachment. We've got the reverse 911 system. Village News is great at printing the content that we send to them. And we have good frequent project updates. For customer service, we have great phone service at the front desk that take the time to explain and answer questions. At low average hold times, the staff is friendly. They're very good at conflict de-escalation. Field staff is also great with customers. We have diversified communication channels. So we have digital communication and paper newsletter, letter, et cetera. Fast response to service requests, and people are often shocked that we show up in less than an hour because they're used to having to wait a day or so with other utilities when they call for a problem.
Almost anything else.
We have.
Get to you next week.
Right. So we have, we're transparent about our call metrics, and we've got the customer service survey and again, the auto dialer. So some of the weaknesses, and we've put check marks here on the things that even though the plan itself is still in development, this is kind of the low hanging fruit that we've already done something about.
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, oh, it's going to go in the plan, oh, we can do this. So, slowly shifting to the new brand. So the communication weaknesses was that consistency was sort of the theme, right? So we're slowly shifting to the new branding. We're working on consistency in the tone and voice. The website, Amanda's been working on kind of some redesign of the navigation, and our social media is dormant. That's something that we haven't addressed yet. There's some ducks we need to get in a row before we dive into that because there's some risks associated with it. We do have extremely limited resources, competing priorities, and limited crisis communications. For the customer service weaknesses, again, it was consistency, ensuring all staff understand messages. So we've developed several pieces of content, FAQ pages to give to the front office staff as well as field staff. And Amanda's got some to show to the committee today too. We've already gotten the website translated into multiple languages. Yes.
I want to interrupt you. That request was made by me, and Ahmed and his team had implemented it within 24 hours. So you now can see our website in Tagali if you're interested in it, or Hindustani, or any other 130 languages.
Yeah, he put the Google Translate tool on there the very next morning after our last committee meeting. So that was great. That was great. So some of the weaknesses were the Flume utilization was low. So we've been working directly with Flume, and they've been doing more outreach, and registration has increased by about 50% since then. And employees felt ill-equipped to answer some questions. And so we're making progress on that already. Probably not already there, but making progress. Opportunities was more consistent brand guidelines, which Amanda has sent out brand guidelines to all staff with the new logo rollout, building an online photo catalog, training staff in photography so that when they're in the field and they're at a job site, they know how to take pictures that would be appropriate for us to use for our website or social media. Internal campaigns to highlight components of the agency, being a trusted resource, photo contests, signboards. So these are all, great ideas that came out of the workshop. Customer service opportunities, updating the website more regularly so they can easily point to that and customers can get it there rather than having to call and ask a question because they can't find the answer online. FAQ page, which has already been updated. How-to videos, which is kind of an ongoing process, but we are working on that. And then using the multi-channel tools, surveys, which we already do, and standardizing outreach with a checklist for like the CIP projects and making sure that we're checking all the boxes for all of the issues.
And where does the topic about just programs and opportunities for ratepayers to whether it's rebate programs or somebody's giving away free trees or any of those types of things, where do we talk about that at all, or where would it be on our website, or if
Are you talking about efficiency programs or
really where
Mhm.
an agency from the county will come out, check irrigation system, or the electric company is giving away free pepper trees, or if you buy a new washing machine,
Yeah.
the water authority or the district will give you $80 or where that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's type of stuff is the next phase of the plan development. That's the actual tactical the specific objectives and action items under each one. But it does go under some of the themes related to the key messages that I'm going to go over in a minute.
Okay.
And
Really, I guess I'm asking where that falls.
There's a conservation tab on the website that has
Mhm.
programs, rebates.
That-
water use
okay,
that-
that's
Yeah.
where that falls.
And we do promote, like Mission Resource Conservation District does the
swap.
audits,
Mhm.
and we have got the crop swap. So those are all kind of some of the things that
the
we do.
newsletter too. We try to
Mhm.
get those
Mhm.
things pretty,
Okay.
pretty regular.
Yeah. So some of the threats was delving into social media in an election year, lots of competition for attention out there, public outbursts, online
An
trolls,
election?
wholesale rate increases, online chatter, spreading misinformation, spreads really quickly in our small communities. Extreme weather events and responding to that is a threat, resources to stay engaged, and competing news sources and channels, competition for attention. On the customer service side, unrealistic expectations for lowering bills, comparing us to larger agencies, not having the full picture in the context of why we're unique. Wholesale rate increases, detachment expectations not matching reality, and legacy community perception hasn't always been positive of the district, and keeping up with complex regulations. So the target audiences that were identified in the workshops, we broke into, the primary, secondary, and tertiary. The ones that we focused on for developing our key messages were residents, agricultural ratepayers, board members, staff, and the media. And then these key messages, I think there will be a lot of overlap when we get into the secondary and tertiary audiences. So the first primary audience, residents. So this is what the workshop identified as their interests, rates, why they are what they are, water quality and safety, water efficiency. This is kind of related to what you were asking about, Bill. System reliability, leak prevention, transparency, and trustworthiness. How do we get the water to their house? And they need practical information, how to pay their bill, how to find their meter, how to shut off water in an emergency, how to save money, how to repair their backflow device, all this kind of practical and emergency alerts. So the key messages for them is one, Rainbow provides a good value for the price. It's a bigger price tag than they might have somewhere else because of some of the nuances of being in a smaller rural community, but we deliver water to their door from hundreds of miles away, so they're, as Rick likes to say, they're not paying for the water, they're paying for the treatment, the storage, and the transportation to your door. We ensure water meets or exceeds all water quality regulations, and we're investing in infrastructure improvements. So that's kind of the key message and the supporting facts related to that key message. And then the second one is Rainbow Water cares about its customers. We show it through transparency about our budget, operations, why things are the way they are, helping customers save money through programs like Flume, Crop Swap, other efficiency programs. We have bill payment assistance plans. They can make payments over time if they need to. We respond promptly, and we offer helpful information about their service. So that's where some of that will come in. The second one, agricultural ratepayers. They're a more sophisticated audience, so their interests are they're more interested in like the fixed versus more into the details, into the weeds on our rate structure, efficiency programs. They want to make sure that the water is reliable. They want to be represented in the district, and they're interested in where the water comes from because of the way the trees react differently to different water sources. And then they need sustainable rates to stay in business. They're interested in the location of their meters, information about water quality and impact on trees, and water pressure. So the key message is that we support agriculture, and these are some of the supporting facts: seeking innovative ways to keep rates sustainable, advocating for agriculture regionally, offering efficiency programs, investing in our distribution system improvements, encouraging agricultural ratepayers to participate on our advisory committees, And Amanda and I talked earlier today about going to the Avocado Growers Association and reaching out to Rick Carey and saying, we have an opening on our communications committee meeting. You all want to be represented. Here's an opportunity. So researching alternative water resource options, sharing helpful and timely information, and we have the infrastructure to support agriculture. Our system was actually designed to support agriculture.
Just before we go on, just as a side question, so I get that the ag users are more sophisticated, but given that the nature of our district and you have a lot of gentle people, farmers, and other types of things that people are growing stuff here that aren't necessarily big ag or even medium to small ag. Things like crop swap, that's a name that is pretty specific, but it covers a broad conservation type efficiency services. When we get to things like that, do we have any responsibility, or should we take the initiative to better explain some of these programs than maybe the agency that's sponsoring them or that's funding them? You know what I mean? So I mean, if you're stuck with a name like crop swap, but you're not swapping your crop, right? You need help with efficiency. Maybe it's mulch.
Yeah,
Maybe
those
it's
are
all
those
those
two
kinds of.
examples that we put up there. We've got the Flume program. We promote the audits through Mission Resource Conservation District. So just the general supporting, I guess, theme for the topic is that, we offer efficiency programs and we help customers understand efficiency
All right.
resources.
Okay.
But we do want feedback on the, specific key messages that we've come up with, whether they seem like they capture what we want to capture for each of these.
Yeah, I guess my
audiences.
my question or point, my comment is, it's one thing to be able to reference or have an area where people can go to if they know what they're looking for, right? And you might find that program listed and it's a link and maybe there's a little blurb about it, right? Versus pulling all of that great information and benefit that's inside of that program and communicating those things. And oh, by the way, the way you get to all those benefits is this crops. In the case of this example, this crops up. It's moving it, it's flipping it a little bit. And that's all I'm saying from a communication standpoint, right? What's important to our ratepayer, whether it's a resident or a ag user, and how do we then kind of connect the dots on that for them, right?
Are you talking about the ability to, I'm struggling to understand what your question is or suggestion is. Like a drill down capability, you have crop swap. Okay, there's an efficiency program, but I'm a grower. I'm interested in more detail that I can drill down in crop swap.
Well,
Or
that maybe
to somehow elevate the components of crop swap. I understand the confusion with the name is, it actually involves efficiency programs as well as changing out your
right.
crop.
That's just one of the things that it
Things,
does, right? So
Right.
when we talk about it, when we communicate it in those messages that we describe all those efficiency programs, not by necessarily specific to the program, but all those key things that can be done. And there's lots of ways that you can kind of get there, right? So when we're communicating,
I see. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's just an example for me.
It's kind of a reverse thing. What you're saying is we promote things that we support and do, efficiency programs. Oh, and you get to it through crop swap.
Right, that's
Okay.
one way to get to it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because, and then there's other ways to get to other ways
Right,
to
yeah.
improve efficiency in your irrigation system or
Yeah.
leak detection, or, it's what is
I
it
got
that
you.
they're
Yeah,
really
that's-
looking for? And then what are all our tools in our tool bag to help to deliver that or get them to that? That's all I'm saying is just from communication standpoint to think about that. You've got it.
It's a good point, because I agree. Quite frequently, you're looking for something specific when you're particularly on the web searching. And if you don't know the name of the master program, you never get to the
Right.
thing you're looking for.
Irrigation efficiency, and then these things apply. Yeah, okay,
Just,
Mhm.
yeah,
anyway, just my comment. on it.
framing it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the next primary audience is the board of directors. So the workshop identified their interests as how their decisions affect ratepayers, how staff is executing the mission, strategic plan, goals, and objectives. They need accurate and timely information to make informed decisions. They need to be given alternative options and the impact of each option, rather than just being given a single choice. Understanding of their legal obligations. So the key message here is that, we make responsible decisions, providing timely and transparent updates to the board on what's happening in the district, providing the board with reliable and accurate data, and offering multiple options and the impacts of each option for the board's consideration. Any feedback on that, Hayden, since you are our resident board member?
No, I definitely want all of that.
Yeah, okay. And then staff is our next key audience, primary audience. So they're interested in being informed of what's happening at the district, especially how it's going to impact them, ways they can provide feedback to management if they're hearing chatter from customers, so that they can keep us in the loop in terms of what customers are concerned about. If there's, a neighborhood that keeps calling about water quality issues, we can kind of stay ahead of that. They want connections with their team members, career growth opportunities. Their needs are for resources to help them do their jobs effectively, information to share with customers, consistency with messages so that they're not confused about, well, I heard this or that, and they know what the right message is to be communicating to customers. And they need information timely and to be trained on it. So the key message here is that, we value and support our team members. We do it by offering training, education, and advancement opportunities, ensuring staff has the tools and resources to do their jobs, providing timely updates through multiple channels, soliciting feedback in several ways, including all hands surveys, stay interviews, one-on-ones, and facilitating team connections through employee events and workshops. And then the last primary audience was local media. Their interest is, timely information, breaking news, emergency responses, low effort, done for them content. So we've noticed that, when we have events like the school field trips and sort of those public interest stories, they almost always print what they send them because it really is done for them content. They like feel good stories about the community. So their needs are, trustworthy and accurate content, timely information that's relevant to their audience, and both current information and some evergreen content that they can use as filler when they need it. So our key message for this audience is that we're an important partner in the local community. And some examples are, collaborating with other agencies like North County Fire on training, education, fire suppression efforts like the heli hydrant, supporting schools by educating students about water efficiency, STEM careers, and participating in civic groups like Rotary, the Avocado Growers Association, and things like that. So this is kind of our first pass at some of these key messages. So we're open to feedback so we can kind of tweak these and nuance them before they're in the final document. But we plan to kind of build sort of the specific objectives and action plan are kind of around these.
Question.
We had the media training exercise about 2 weeks ago. Seems like
Yeah,
last
about
week.
2 weeks ago.
Where the instructor was basically a former media personnel person. The gist of what she was focused on was how to present yourself to the media and how to provide tools that Carlene has just talked about. Tools to help facilitate them doing their job. And how you can, if you're effective at that, how you'll actually increase your coverage as opposed to not.
Right. And this is why kind of earlier when we talked about some of our opportunities, I think the people that participated in that workshop were even kind of ahead of the game in terms of what she talked about at the media training was, we want to train our field staff on photography and videography, and that the facilitator of the training said, yeah, if it's unsafe for our photographer to get there to get a picture of your leak, have your staff take it and send it to us, and then we'll be out of your way.
And how to help them get the photos they need without putting them or anyone else at risk.
Mhm.
Can we go back to the slide where you had all the audiences?
Yes.
All right.
And this is what the workshop came up with, this committee can say, you know what, maybe one of these that we have listed under secondary is really primary, or one of the ones primary is really secondary. We can, that's open for discussion. The document is kind of in development
Sure.
format right now.
But it seemed like the community groups, or that was kind of, we're dovetailing that into the media slide, did we?
No, I think that was just one of the supporting facts of that key message for media, which was that the Rainbow is an important partner in our community.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
that was one of the key message is the what, right? What do we want them to know and believe is true? That we're a partner in the community. And the example is we're involved in community groups.
All right. And my only comment on the staff side, and just as you're thinking about the communication and all of the delivery mechanisms and content, is I think it's really easy to when you're working so quickly on improving all of these elements within your communication strategy and all those deliverables, that the other silos or functional areas within your organization, how do you bring them along with all the work that you're doing? So, if I'm a field person or I'm in customer service, and you guys are making all of these leapfrog improvements on the website and on content and all these other kinds of things, how do you make sure that they understand, see, and get educated on all those improvements, and then how they can best utilize them, right? So if they're in the field and somebody's asking a question and they have access to all your flyers and your content on all these different topics, they can just sit there and click and forward it over to the person.
Amanda, do you
Oh.
want to just segue into the draft that you have of our
Yeah.
back
Okay.
card that's
We
for our
have
field
that was-
staff that has QR codes that bring you
Beautiful
right to the
setup.
content?
I know, but you got it. You got it. But
Now it's.
Oh. Just happened to have.
so
Thank you.
these are specifics, right? And I
Yeah.
think this is great. So thank you very much. But I just think it's important to keep focused on not everybody that externally consumes it. There's so many internal consumers, and that it can help them do their job, and they understand as everything is being improved, that you're constantly looping them back into the process.
Mhm.
You talked about training, you talked about upskilling and all those other kinds of things. So just saying that internal audience, what you guys are doing, they're an important audience for you guys to
Right.
to brief and show.
Yeah, they are key messengers as well as key audiences.
Yes.
And so they understanding what the messages are and how to get it to them. So, some of the channels that we already have for that is we have a monthly all hands. So Jake updates all staff on what happened at the board meeting, big decisions that are happening. There's an open forum for questions and answers. We have features, like we call it word on the street to as a mechanism to encourage that feedback on what are they hearing from customers and how can we help them with that, and just any other regular updates can be done through that, as well as one-on-ones.
Super.
All right. So that's all I had for that, unless there's any other feedback on it.
No, but are we still on 11 with what just got put in front of us?
That will be under the events. It'll go under avocado festivals or community event
Okay.
agenda item.
All right. So,
But it overlaps.
It does
It's something that
overlap.
Has continued use.
Yeah, and it's one of the items that she developed in response to some of the low hanging fruit that we identified in the opportunities when we did the SWOT analysis, was giving field staff a resource and a resource when we're at events like the Avocado Festival, to very easily hand someone when they're asking a lot of questions. I don't know the answer to all of your questions, but here's where you can find it. And so that's what some of these
Nice.
These are.
Okay. All right, anything else on 11?
Nope.
Okay, done with 11.
Other than, we're gonna keep working on it. We'll keep coming back with little pieces.
No, great update.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely, great update. Okay, moving on to item 12, customer service survey.
All right, so we have two different surveys we want to share with you guys. We plan to roll this out this Sunday at the Avocado Festival. So basically, me and my team came up with these questions. We also researched some of the surrounding districts' surveys and kind of pulled some inspiration from there as well. So the first one, I'll just read them all to you guys. So the first survey is going to say, please rate the quality of the water, the taste, color, smell delivered by RMWD on a scale of 1 to 5. Please rate the courtesy or professionalism of RMWD employees. How knowledgeable is the RMWD employee you spoke to? Do you feel like RMWD cares about your concerns? Please rate the speed of service or ease of doing business at RMWD. And please rate the speed of any maintenance repair work done by RMWD. So the idea behind this was to keep it right around 6 on a single page, because at the Avocado Festival, people want to spin the wheel, right? So they just want to get through this survey pretty quick. That way they can get their prize. They don't want to be flipping through pages and, you know, doing this, spending 5-10 minutes on this thing. So we just wanted to keep it brief, straight to the point. So that's the first one. The second one, this is the one that we created in February. So this one is, how would you rate your overall experience with Rainbow Water? Same thing, scale 1 to 5. Did our team explain information clearly and concisely? Was your issue resolved? Would you like to be contacted for further assistance? Yes or no? And then quick point on this one, and I think, Carlene, we had this up before and we didn't get any follow-up.
No,
information,
yeah,
right?
no one filled out their information.
Yeah, so no one, we had like a text box where people could leave like their phone number and name. We didn't have any of that. Do you feel the district cares about your concerns? As a customer, what Rainbow Water topics are you most concerned about? We had this one up before, and the main one was detachment, I
Mhm.
believe. And then how do you prefer to receive information? So like a little piece on the bill, newsletter, newspaper, social media, website. So we're just looking for some feedback on which you guys believe would be the best one to put out for the Avocado Festival. The staff goes with option 1, but just wanted to hear what you guys have to think.
Thank you. Comments?
I was thinking if you could flip flop them, you're actually running 2 surveys simultaneously.
Yeah.
You have this one and the other one. I'd eliminate question 4, so they're both 6 questions. But you know, you run one survey for an hour and the next survey for an hour, type thing, and that way you're sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, that would decrease the total number of responses for both surveys. So we would have two sets of information. So we've done, the option 2 is the survey that we've done for the past year. So we have a year's worth of data for that.
Okay.
And we got 35 responses at the Avocado Festival. And what are we at for the year, Amanda? We're at like 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our last
So
couple
we
weeks.
get as many responses at the Avocado Festival by itself as we do in our lobby, from our website and our newsletter.
So we
program
already
all
asked
year.
option 2 question.
We've already used that one, yeah. So I think having refreshed questions, I
Can I
think
take
would
back
get us that sort of, if you're looking for sort of an A/B test, then we've done A, and now, you know, B would be the next option to test.
Okay, Bill?
No, I think I like the idea of just the one survey and what you develop with the new one. It's concise and it should be quick. I would think it'd take more than a couple of minutes to do that. And as a prerequisite to spinning the wheel, that
Well, only 35 people took it last year, and that's just because not everybody who's there is one of our customers. So when they come in,
You're right.
the wheel draws them in, and then we ask them if they're a customer. And if they say yes, they're a customer, then they don't have to spin to win. They can just take the survey and choose anything they want off the table.
Well, I didn't get to talk to Josh about this earlier, but one other thing that might be valuable, I'm just throwing it out there, is trying to see which message resonates the best with communicating the value of water. So for instance, you get some feedback on, what if you heard that, you pay less than a penny per gallon? Does that, how does that resonate with you compared to your water comes from 600 miles away? Whereas, there's a couple of key ways that you can try and communicate what you're really paying for, and that might gear some of our future communication strategy. And anybody can answer that. They
Mhm.
don't have to be
Yeah.
a Rainbow or a
Sure.
direct
Mhm.
customer, but because that's probably the hardest challenge we have is that question. Why am I right? Well, what are you paying for? And so trying to get some sense of what message actually resonates the most with, value from a water
Mhm.
perspective.
Mhm.
I haven't seen other studies do that very well. So just another option.
I guess if we're doing this at the Avocado Festival, I feel feels heavy. So I would look at, number 3, what is that referencing? Is that referencing the person that's standing in front of them at the booth or some past experience? I'm not sure how valuable 3 is if
Yeah.
you're sitting in a booth at Avocado Festival. 6,
And you may not have had any interaction.
yeah, 6 seems to be specific, but could be covered under 5.
Mhm.
So you could get this down to 4 questions.
And
Okay.
I was gonna say, if we, combined what you just said, the 5 and 6, and eliminated 3, I would suggest that maybe we, add the question from option 2 that we had added as a possibility at the end of how do you prefer to receive information?
Yeah.
Because as we're developing, that was one of the things that we didn't ask last year, and we were gonna add it. Because it would be good to know, from the people
And
that
this is, they're just gonna hit
Right.
buttons.
they're just gonna hit buttons.
Would also expand our list, like a email address.
The survey
not
itself,
doing
no.
Yeah.
But it would help us.
If you ask,
No,
how do you
where-
prefer question, are you gonna get some new email addresses? Is what I'm asking.
From the survey itself?
I think they would
No.
say, email me, right? They're not gonna give you their email address. They're
Oh, I
just gonna
see.
say the method.
Yeah, we're just gonna be,
How
we're
do you
just gonna
prefer
be
to get your
asking them,
information?
right? So that we know,
Put a thing there
whether
to
our
give it-
customers prefer to get it in the newsletter, or they would prefer to get an email, or check Facebook.
Well, if you guys think that's doable inside the booth, then obviously that's fine. I like it when I interact with someone, some organization, and they said, now they've gotten to the point where they say, if you stay on, we're only gonna ask you 3 questions.
Mhm,
It's only 3 questions. And
Mhm.
they're skinning it down. Now
Mhm.
you guys, your interaction at the booth and the wheel and the prize, that's a different interaction. So if you think you can add on another one, go for it. But I think less is more at times,
Mhm.
because they're gonna spend more time on the question. So I would think the quality of the answer is gonna be a little bit better, but
Only 3 questions unless you want to answer 4 and 5 too.
or optional. right? But
Last year's was
that's good.
actually,
Well,
we had a
there's-
3.
there's
So
your
it was
option too
3,
for
yeah, last
two-
year
two surveys.
it was 3 questions.
Yeah.
And then the question 3 was, have you visited our office like in the past, forget which time frame? And then only if they said yes to that, it asked them another 3. So if they said no, then it was 3 questions.
Well, there you go.
Also, if you
Mhm.
break it down to 6 questions, you could split it into 2 3-question surveys.
He really wants 2 different surveys. Are you picking up on the theme? You smell what he's cooking? That's all my only comment. I vote for option 1 and.
Well, no, I
skinny
agree with
down.
Bill. Shorter's better.
Mhm.
But there again, there's information that we'd like to have. And if you can get 100 people to answer the survey and it's split, that's 50, and that's statistically significant.
Well, we haven't gotten 100 people in an entire year for the previous survey. So,
But that was only Rainbow customers. You could ask this of anything, anybody, to a large degree.
interesting. Okay,
Well, I guess you've gotten our feedback.
all right.
Do with it what you will.
we will have a survey at the festival.
There you go.
You provide something at the festival, like water facts, like you suggested, you know, where we don't have naturally occurring water here. It comes from 600 miles of the Sacramento Delta or 300 miles from the Colorado River. We have to get it here. And then we have to serve it to you clean and potable. We do that for less than a penny a gallon. Do you think it's a value? You know, you don't even need to answer the question. I just think a little bit of one sheet of salient facts would be something great to just hand out.
Mhm.
Get them thinking about where that stuff comes from. If you've ever been up there, it seems like it's in another universe.
It is.
It's down in the Sacramento Delta.
Yeah, but why is my bill higher?
Well, electricity's gone up to move
No,
it
no.
to start with.
All right, I think we've killed 12. So hopefully we gave you some things to think about.
Yep.
Good job. I'm sure we'll get some good data. Item 13, community events and outreach planning update.
Hey, we are in for a big rollout of events the next 2 weeks. Our field trip with Bonsall High School students is next Thursday. If you would like to join us, we're going to be taking them through different stations here in the boardroom, operations, lower yard, upper yard, where each department will give a review of their job and how it translates to classes they take in school and pathways in the water industry. We are using the MET grant we received from their community partner program to purchase PPE and our STEM kits that Ahmed has recommended for us. So we purchased those, engineering plans, all of our expenses will be covered by this grant. And we anticipate 30 students to be attending, and we're very excited to have them join us again.
You said 30? Is that
30,
right?
yes.
Did anyone see on this topic though, well, kind of around this topic, I'm going to put it into this topic. There was an article about the latest generation and whatever, I lose track of what they call everybody now, but this generation that is 18 to whatever, is it Z?
Z.
And how they're really foregoing college. They're focusing in trade, you know, and that there's this shift with this demographic that they don't see the benefit of you know, higher education, taking on that debt and see how it's going to help them. I thought that was really interesting that is statistically significant and how it impacts our outreach specifically to high school students and describing the types of things that the types of jobs that are available in the district with or without an education, with or without certifications,
That's
those kinds of things.
Definitely one of the things that we focus on when they come for, you know, it's STEM students. So it's students who've enrolled in sort of their STEM careers exploration semester long class or program that they have at the high school. But we really emphasize that there's STEM means a lot of different things. There's a lot of, you know, different ways to be in a STEM career. Rick's in a STEM career, Ahmed's in a STEM career, Amanda's in a STEM career, and they all do very different things. And so we emphasize that, you know, that could be a blue collar career. It could be, you know, a trade. It could be working in the office. It could be working in the field. There's all different entry points in terms of education level.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just thought that was a great data point because a lot of people kids as they're going through these final stages of their lower education, you know, they're trying to decide and they're following a lot of what they think all their peers are doing and what larger groups are doing. And to hear how much or how many individuals in these large segments of that generation are going into these different types of fields and the benefit they're getting from it. That's a great message to
Yeah.
communicate. They see that.
This is interesting. So I told you guys I did that career day. Now these are the younger kids, they're 7th and 8th graders. And so their teachers make them write thank you thing. And it had like 2 things of what 2 things did you catch, you know, from the presentation. The number one thing was I gave out the old, you know, what do you call those things?
The Gators.
The gators, they call them do-rags. They gave out the do-rags. That was by far number one on the list. The second thing was that entry-level jobs.
Mhm.
And I talked about all kinds of stuff, but I probably on half of the
Hmm.
responses I got, it said entry-level jobs available, entry-level jobs available. So,
Good.
yeah.
All right, sorry, keep going.
And we have a wonderful opportunity to extend to our target audience, that secondary audience. In June, we're going to be sponsoring the water booth at the first ever Vallecito School Rainbow Run. So we will have our booth with our very large new logo.
It's a name for us.
It's a-
Was it named after us?
It's a color run where they have the, you know, the colors that they scored all over you.
So we'll have more information on registration as they release that on their website. So if you are interested, please reach out. We're going to inform-
Watching or running?
both. We do not.
I
need to
don't
staff
run.
The booth that is fully staffed. However, if you'd
Mm-hmm.
like to come out, it's the way to engage with the community. School's going to be out by then, but there's a lot of local businesses that will be participating.
So are we sponsoring
We're sponsoring their water station.
their water station? So
Station.
we're not like with the run sponsor, like where the.
No.
Got it.
Yeah, they have lots of different kinds of sponsors, but we figured it was the water station was an appropriate.
No, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
They specifically requested that. we-
This is 5K or
Water.
10K or something.
It's
It's going to be 1K through 5K. So
Okay.
1K aim for the little
Yeah.
things.
Perfect, thank you. 15.
Okay, and our Avocado Festival is our upcoming event this Sunday. We are quickly putting together all of our promotional items. Carlene has some
So
samples.
I'll pass these
to
down,
show
but
you.
these are the swag items that we'll have in our spin to win booth.
Nice, like
These are-
that. Like to have a cup
The
play.
multi-tool.
This is awesome.
Eh.
This is great.
Yeah, that's
This
the,
thing.
it's a, yeah, it's got the thing to remove the pit and then this,
Oh,
that
look at
slide.
Yeah, the avocado. Those are really popular.
That is.
Those
this
are-
is
yeah.
Nicer than last year. The one.
That's it's the same one as last year.
Okay, it's nicer than the one I have.
You gotta go to the event.
Oh.
And then the fans
And
that we
what
had
is it? What is
last
this?
year, it's a dog bowl. So you can bring it with you when you're out with your dog
Small.
and because dogs drink water too.
It's portable. You fold it and put it in your backpack and you pull it, put a little water in it.
Yeah, you just pour
Oh, a
water
dog
in it.
bowl.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it's portable, take it, bring it with you. And
Yeah,
there are a lot of people who bring their pets
licks by my dog.
to the avocado festival because they have some kind of like costume contest or something
Yeah.
for dogs at the event. So yeah, we thought that would
That's
be
cool.
appropriate.
Very nice.
And the fans that we had last year were bigger than this, so they were bulky and hard
The
to
big ones. with
get the
squirt
quantity.
pops.
Yeah, and they also required a battery. So this one,
Renewable.
no battery. And then it missed the what you fill it up with water and
Oh,
No.
there's not a fan.
there's not a fan. It just kind of missed out.
Oh,
You know,
it's
you pump,
pressure.
you,
Oh, I
it's
got
air pressure. It's fun. And then it just missed
Mm-hmm.
the air on a hot day.
There you go. Nice.
That's cool.
And we'll have some of those at the Avocado Festival, but we're also saving those for the students for the field trip and kind of the younger audience, the little poop emoji stress balls.
Wastewater is a very intriguing topic at the field trip.
The field trip, when we asked them at the end what their favorite thing was, seeing the lift station down there and learning about wastewater, that every single time, that's what they say. That's what they're
Chocolate soft serve.
so, yeah. And yeah, man, you can each keep a pen to take home if you want.
This was
Uh,
what?
It's a
Wastewater.
poop emoji.
Come on.
The kids use emojis on their phones.
Well,
It could be a
Like
chocolate
Kevin
ice
extra.
cream top. but-
It could be.
A new Hershey's Kiss.
We're in the turd business. Come on.
So the poop emoji was not on the choices. that
It wasn't.
you were
It
at,
was a last
feedback
minute
on?
add-on.
Mhm.
And again,
They
it
were at
was,
a clearance on those, did they?
it was also primarily for the field trip for the kids.
Gotcha. That's smart. Great. Okay,
I would try to get Mr. Fu for the lift station.
Yeah.
all right.
So we have the event fully staffed by our team members and we'll be giving them some talking points to speak on behalf of detachment, raids, and other service areas of interest. We have some rat cards in development. If you have your printouts in front of you,
Yep.
there is one on the new committee members.
Uh-huh.
And then we have a general informational sheet. It kind of addresses some of the items that we were speaking about earlier today about, just giving a highlight of us as a water provider. You know, what exactly are you paying for? Our capital improvement program and QR code links to those website pages that we recently launched and are going to be regularly updating to keep the public informed, and also our operations team, making sure that they are fully equipped with information and relaying that to our ratepayers.
We do have the crop swap thing too, right?
Yes, and we have the crop swap
Trifold?
trifold from Rancho Water.
This is,
details.
that's the
Lots of
trifold for.
Excellent. I love
And we'll have,
trifolds.
A Bloom handout, just a review of
stuff.
pricing breakdown.
Fantastic.
Wow. Okay,
And if anyone would like to volunteer on Sunday, we would love for you to join us. We have available times from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our event is fully staffed. Every 2 hours, we have shifts for our team members.
okay, so you don't
Think,
need us, but we're welcome.
Yeah,
like
we've got 2 staff members on every shift. And then the only volunteer shift we have filled is the morning from 9 to 11. So it would be to supplement our staff that's going to be there.
Okay. And who do we communicate with if we're gonna come at a certain time to let you guys know?
Amanda?
You can email.
Okay,
Next up is a event that Carlene and I are working with Fallbrook and the Chamber of Commerce.
So 26th.
Oh, 26, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Don't mind that. Just looking at last year's. schedule. It's September 26th. This beautiful venue is next to one of their FPUD's reservoirs, and it's being donated by their board member along with their beverages for that. So we are going to be touring the venue next month and planning along with FPUD and getting community members who were involved with detachment involved. It's a thank you event for all of their efforts during our ongoing campaign.
It's sort of a detachment celebration and expression of gratitude to the community groups that really supported us throughout the process.
Where's this located?
That's Red Mountain Reservoir.
I was gonna say, is that Red
Yeah,
Mountain?
Yeah,
right
the
above
the
it.
venue.
And it will
is-
be full.
It'll be full,
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
most likely.
According to the presentation, I heard it's 10 o'clock. It will be full.
That's filling up. Yeah, this is something that's come up just in the last couple of weeks. So kind of brand new, but kind of came together pretty quickly. That tentative date on that, yeah.
yeah.
September
And I
26th.
think we're fortunate to get both the venue and beverages donated. So we'll be splitting the cost with FPUD just for catering and probably a shuttle service from parking is kind of far from where the event is. So from the parking area up.
and
to the
who is
venue.
this available to?
Well, I think it's going to be invitation only to people who were involved in detachment. So the community groups, we're still kind of working out those details with FPUD. I'm trying to get like what is the actual head count the event can do. You know, they're not going to, make it totally accessible to the public because there is limited
I think
Parking,
space
yeah.
and parking.
staff committee, board members,
Ask
Chamber
our
of
county-
Commerce, the
Consultants, yeah.
consultants, yeah.
Include our county commissioner.
yes.
Yes,
We talked,
Big time.
the county supervisor, yeah, who was very supportive.
Super boy. Made the difference.
Hmm.
Possibly even some of the LAFCO staff, just
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
what they did.
at least 5 of them, right?
All right,
Even discussed our media training we had earlier this month. Rancho Water hosted. We had 3 staff members, 1 board member attend, and we reviewed, best practices for speaking with the media, being clear, concise, and consistent. We learned how to remain camera ready, both in person and via Zoom. Not to use those virtual backgrounds, but have a nice, background behind you, not against a wall. There were tips.
Painted
for
off white.
engaging with the media. Always remember, do not expect your information release saying off topic will be kept off topic. Anything you say will most likely be used. And remember, when the camera is rolling, they are videoing you, even if they say they're not going to use it. We learned about building your message, interview preparation, and then handling difficult questions and topics.
Mhm.
And there were representatives from, let's see, we had Lake Elsinore and Rancho. We had
Eastern, wasn't-
Eastern, yes.
wasn't Nick
Mhm.
there?
And what was interesting, there were some members that were from different departments that
think
address
Eastern
issues
was
they
there.
have with
Yeah, I didn't
the
see any.
media coming into, say, an emergency event, or they want to cross the line and how to handle that situation. And always
Mhm.
remember that there are liabilities when they do come and encroach in areas where we've had a
Sure.
break, and just to remember to stick to your policy. They want to go in that area, they're released at their own. So it was a great experience, and we got to network with other community members.
That's great. This is great training. I mean, it's so many uses for this going forward. Obviously, a lot of uses for this going back the last 3 years. And then the other type of this training is more crisis PR training that you really don't want to have, but when you need it, it's nice to have it. But
Yeah, we have, it's not specifically just crisis PR training, but FEMA has training classes for if there's a disaster type of event, and they have a very good multi-day advanced PIO training for people who may need to deal with the media during a crisis, a disaster, a fire, something like that. So that's something that our staff
She
will be
touched
going
on
to as
some of
well.
those topics too.
Yeah, but there's,
Things like don't spend the first 5 minutes thinking everybody
right, get to the point.
or introducing all the raft of characters. or
and
whatever.
where do media requests typically come into? Does it come to the general manager, or when if somebody's writing an article, like I remember back last year, the year before, and it was, I don't know, some journalist from back east, pretty big paper was coming in talking about water, and I thought, do you remember that one? There was a big article. I can't remember who it was a bigger journalist, but looking for people to interview about the water crisis. This is before it started raining, obviously. But do they
I
reach
think our
out to your
admin code says
office?
it's general manager
Yeah, well, I mean,
or designee.
since I've been here, the media requests have, I've got direct emails or calls. I know paper calls Hayden sometimes too,
Mhm.
but,
Once they've established a contact rapport with you, they'll call you if it's related.
Mhm.
So
And we have we have guidelines with regards to who can and can't speak to media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. Any questions on community events and outreach planning?
the only other thing I was gonna mention was that Thoroughbred, we tentatively were thinking probably June. I don't know if I said that before, but,
You didn't give a date, but you said you were talking
yes,
about.
okay, yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. June, it'd probably be like a morning, because it might be a little warm, so probably like a morning thing, but that's. Yeah,
That's like ribbon cutting.
Yeah,
probably next month, we'll know more finished dates and making sure we're there. That's kind of what we're waiting for.
fortunately, it's just down the hill, so
That's
I,
true.
I can park the horses if I have to.
And have we gotten, just back on, or continuing on this topic, did we ever get outreach? Like there was a series of articles that were talking about cyber and infrastructure, maybe sleeping, worms and all this other kind of stuff, and from water to electrical grids and things like that, that state actors, whether it's, government or something like that, have gone in and have already kind of broken into different types of infrastructure, IT systems and things like that. Has anybody ever come and start asking? I mean, the threat is that they could turn off. What's going on over there?
Ahmed,
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
no,
Oh, no, I was.
the answer to your question is Ahmed.
Oh, oh, there you go.
He's working on, you have your master's, right?
Yes, yes,
Master's on internet security.
Cyber.
Cybersecurity, yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is about the media outreach
Yeah.
on this, right? So this is becoming a topic that
Topic.
keeps gaining more and more and more traction. And they're worried about, somebody opening up a dam or turning off an electrical grid or, being able to infiltrate stuff like that.
Flushing all the toilets at once.
Something important. Do we get media outreach? Do those type of topics or is it?
We probably don't because we're not a major media center. I would expect San Diego water authority, water or county water.
So
San
hopefully-
Diego.
hopefully we don't get any media outreach because usually when they outreach to you, there's an incident. So what we do get is threat intelligence. So we're on the list of MS ISAC, CISA, FBI. So whenever there's threats like this from, especially when it's state actors, right? Like especially these days with Iran, North Korea, China, Russia. So whenever things are happening around the world, we're always target, unfortunately. And especially these last couple of weeks, China has been posing a big threat to us, especially with just what you were saying is they're infiltrating water districts and doing that. So we don't usually get approached by the media to be asked for, things like that. And if we do, it's because we're in a cybersecurity attack. So,
Okay, just curious. Alrighty. All right, that's it for 13. Newsletter content planning, 14. Thank you.
Month of April, I collaborated with the engineering team to do a profile of their latest capital improvement program projects. So we have a series of projects here for our pump station, thoroughbred lift station, and then the Live Oak Park Bridge. We created a new website page that features all of these projects, and we will be regularly updating with photos. So that's addressing some of our items from the workshop there. We have a profile on the Invest in Your Landscape with rebates from Met for turf and tree rebates, as well as tips on plantings with the top 50 water-friendly native plants. And we'll also be giving away a brochure with poppy seed packets at the Avocado Festival. So there's a little call to action on the second page of the newsletter to join us and pick up your packet. We have a profile on the committee member volunteers with a new sign-up form that Ahmed created for us on the website. So people can find out a little bit more about committees and then enter their information, which will then be filtered through to Therese, which helps reduce time with calls. So we can kind of scan through all of those applications, and there's a QR code link there. We have the Avocado Festival for invitation for everyone to join us and stop by our booth. And then our career opportunities, since we have 3 openings right now. And then we did a little announcement patting ourselves on the back for our top workplaces award that we've won for the past 3 years.
Great. And on the that you reminded me, the top water friendly native plants. So I did I don't know what the organization's called, but I did a tour a couple of weekends ago where all this one org that focuses on California native, they have all of these people that have joined their group, and they've turned their entire yards and properties into California native, and then they open them up once a year. So they're just like, I don't know, 50 of these locations that you can go to. Some of the properties are just ridiculous, and others just somebody's front yard, in a development. It could be anything, but they had a lot of information on California native species and those types of things. But if anybody, I can find the information out, but that would be, I think, also a great resource or to list amongst others on our website about places that you can go to learn about those types of things or organizations you might join. But again, it's a just a group that a community group that focuses on planting native and turning your properties into, and they're all obviously drought tolerant, other kinds of things, but
If you ever wanted to see an entire community, a very large community that was entirely composed of low water requirement planting, almost total absence of turf. And these are homes that, sold originally from $1 million to $6 or $7 million.
they're worth a lot now.
Yeah, about 450 of the 850 units are custom home sites that are acre to 2 acres. All low water requirement planting. You could have a few square feet of turf in your backyard. But nothing in the front yard, nothing visible. Place is gorgeous. Now, it started in 2001. It's called Santa Luz. And Santa Luz is in North San Diego. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Mhm.
But it's a gated community, and I was a GM there from the time we started grading
Mhm.
until basically build out.
It's not off the 56, is it?
It's actually, no, it's actually off Camino del Norte and Camino del Sur, kind of connecting 56 with 15 through what is now, had been termed at that time the future development area of the city of San Diego, but that include Forest Ranch
Oh, okay.
and that area
Uh-huh.
back at Rancho
Right.
Bernardo all the way into this area. It's one of the least publicized places in all of California, though. But we went in at the beginning with a palette of plants developed by a landscape architectural firm that was all over the world, particularly in dry countries like South Africa and Australia. And we're bringing in plants from all over the world that were uniquely low water requirement planting. The city imposed a requirement on that project in 2000 that it could only use 1/3 of the water that the normal landscaping consumes. And they had to implement that lot by lot and house by house. And so, and that was done, and it was very difficult at the beginning because nobody knew anything about it. They used to call it Xeriscape back in the day, but nobody knew how to do it. I have pallets, drawers full of pallets of plants that are on this list for sure, that we used. Some worked, some didn't in the Southern California climate. And they are, but these yards turned out beautiful. It's kind of like driving through, a Sonoran desert, scape that's perfect. So
Well,
at any rate, if you ever wanted to take a group to tour it, I can easily arrange that, and it
Great.
would be an eye opener and something that the district could benefit from in terms of developing information for our residents who want to convert
Sure.
and would like to do that,
Okay.
bring in low water requirement planning.
Great. All righty. Good input. Continue.
Then looking forward to May and June. For May, it's going to be National Water Awareness Month. So that's our chance to address some of those, like where does our water come from? You were speaking about it earlier, Bill, about how far it travels, the true value of water there. We're going to be tackling what's backflow. So I'm working with Alex G to update the website and address some of the key areas where he receives the most amount of questions and clarify, how they take that survey to decide if they do need to keep their backflow device, who to call, and what the process is for removal. We're going to have an invitation for the Rainbow Run and then a recap of our events from Avocado Festival and the field trip. And for the month of June, we're leaning into the CCR report, our rate increases, and we're going to get some of that messaging in there fine-tuned so that we can alleviate some of those calls that we may be receiving after the rate increase goes through. Tips for adjusting your water for summer and the upcoming La Nina season. And then we're going to profile some virtual workshops that Met Water has and G3 Landscapes. They're Zoom meetings where you can learn a little bit about your zero landscape, turf removal and inspire some ideas there. And then there's also the water efficiency survey. So this is something that we haven't really taken advantage of, but a lot of neighboring agencies, whenever they have ratepayers call in with, why is my bill so high? What happened this month compared to the other? We can actually recommend them going to Be Waterwise and take a survey that reviews their usage. So we give data and then it's analyzed and the resident kind of understands the breakdown of their bill and what may be going on, whether it's internal, external usage. But it's an opportunity that was presented at a JPIC meeting at the Water Authority. And I thought we could really implement that here to help alleviate some of the stress.
So on some of those programs, and whether it's like what the board had done a few years back with supplementing the cost for Flume, or the different types of potential new things, what type of grants are available that could potentially offset the cost for our ratepayers, for if you guys get to something that you really like for instance, I'm not proud of it, but I do scroll through Reddit every once in a while, and they clearly have targeted me now. And I am getting, I am getting now this water device that's manufactured by a major company, whether it's Pfizer or Pfizer or whatever the names of some of these companies are that do water things, but it's an in-house, inline smart water sensor that you put, but before all of your taps, it's after your after your pressure reducer.
Sure.
And it's a pretty fancy looking thing, and it's smart. It hooks up to your internet, and it tracks and tells you everything that's going on inside your house. I had never seen anything like that advertised before. I didn't click on the ad. I don't know how much it costs, but it does a lot of the things that,
Flume
you
does.
hope to get with Flume, right? But Flume kind of knows a little bit about what's happening inside. It guesses what's happening outside. But those types of things, it seems like now that even the major manufacturers are going to jump into this game. And I get it. A lot of our ratepayers wouldn't, pay a plumber to come in and, put
Install something in their
install
water
an
main.
IoT type of device like that inside their house. But if these things become efficient and economical, are there grants where we can, help the ratepayers maybe go in and have something like this installed and help them understand how they're using their water inside their house? I don't know if anybody's seen a similar thing advertised, but I was surprised that I saw it. But
The only thing I've seen is Rakio. It's a sprinkler system, smart system that Rancho Water has. That would be something in that realm, but as of now, there hasn't been anything proposed by Water Authority that they've introduced to everyone that's an option.
Most of them come through, most of them come through Met.
Through Met, yeah.
Met's done the toilets and
Mhm.
all the efficient
Yeah.
household efficiency stuff.
And outside the turf removal programs.
And then also the sprinkler controllers, that's one of them too. So there's already some attached to that, but obviously if there was something, almost anything that.
Maybe
drive-
we,
to drive
maybe we
water
need to research it and suggest it to Met.
I'll screen grab the next time I see it, and it'll be a company that you're
They got your name. It'll
Yeah,
be coming.
yeah, it'll come back. But it's a company that it's a brand name
Uh-huh.
that sells, plumbing.
Plumbing or
fixtures
appliances
or things
stuff.
like that. But it was pretty slick looking thing, and it sounded awfully smart. But anyway, they're marketing it clearly to current owners, not just new installs or new builds.
What is
but
it telling?
I guess it pretty much knows everything, that all the water and how it's being used in the house. If you've got leaks, if you,
I mean,
all that.
it's making educated guesses and probably playing AI, but you flush a toilet, it's 2 gallons.
Yeah.
You run the dishwasher or clothes washer or whatever, it's so much.
Okay, I get it.
Okay.
It's usage.
Right, and it also, it is an automatic
Right.
shut off.
Shut off, yeah.
So let's say you're traveling or you're in a separate property and all of a sudden it notifies you. Well, Flume would say, hey, your main's broken or you have a big leak going on.
Yeah.
And it uses, you have an emergency contact that it'll automatically reach out to, and hopefully they know where to come in and turn your water off, right?
Yeah.
There's the manual intervention. This thing, you can just on your smartphone, you hit a button, the thing goes zoop, and it just shuts your water off. So your toilet blows out, you know, in your bathroom, instead of having $20,000 worth of damage to your house, you could turn the water off until you have somebody get there. So it senses water usage and it also has the ability to turn the water off to the house, which I thought was kind of smart. Anyway,
Thank you.
continue. Okay, any questions on content planning for the newsletter? Nope. All right, item 15, public communications related media stories.
We have one media story and it was coverage for the appointment of our new board member, Carrie Dale. That was on March 5th. And signage, engineering is launching their Pump Station Division 1 project, and we worked on the construction notice door hanger, signage at the site, and then updating the website with the latest information. There's a map available there, and we'll be regularly updating with project updates, delays, traffic information. So all of that is linked up with the QR code. Then we also made another website update to the committee member form that's now on our first page, and as you scroll through the banner, so there's a new item there, and that was all of our updates.
All right. Well, I love that. I don't know, who, are you guys doing this stuff in-house?
Yep.
Well done.
Nice.
Me
Yeah,
up.
it
Very
is.
nice.
Very
I like
nice.
This is slick. Very good. Any other comments on media stories? No, my only one was the Met rate increase. So. Okay. List of suggested agenda items for the next meeting. So we will have,
Follow up on Avocado Festival.
right,
up
and
on
on the service, the customer service survey, you'll have your survey results.
Yep.
Oh, and just back on 13, wow. If I go in my Wayback Time machine 2 years and I think about community events and outreach, and I know there was the pandemic and all these other kinds of things, but even before the pandemic, you guys are doing a great job on community outreach. The game has been upped considerably. The number of, no, I'm not going to be funny.
True.
The number of and type of events and who you're reaching and the messages and information that's being shared, that just really impressed me going back to 13. So,
Thank you.
so yeah, I'd love to continue to hear about that.
Yep, I'll be giving an update on the call metrics, quarterly call metrics.
Great. And is it too soon for another strategic communication plan development update?
I don't know that I'm gonna have another update
Okay,
by,
we'll skip
by
that.
May. I'm gonna be on
All right.
vacation.
Anything that we need to add?
I love it.
Okay.
It's coming great.
Good? We're good. All right. Well, that's it. We are adjourned. It's 2:53.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There is one more event too. This will be probably end of the year. But Eastern does want to do